guest today is Sandi Herrera. She is the founder and CEO of Educator Dynamics and Genius School US. Welcome to the show, Sandi. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. I'm so excited to be here. You know, I adore you and super excited about everything you're doing.
No, thank you. Thank you for bringing us together, or joining me today. In preparing for the show, I was thinking about you, and we've known each other for almost, I was going to say about a year and a half now. We were connected by a mutual friend. Shout out to Melissa Flynn for connecting us. And I have to say, in the last year and a half, I've seen your mission and your vision really just come to life in a way that's just been so beautiful to not only be on the outside looking in, but also, you invited me to be a part of it as well. And so, one, I just want to say I'm grateful to be a part of that. But two, I'm really inspired to just, be with you and share the space with you every time we get together. And so, again, thank you. My goal today is just to share your story, share what you're doing and how people can learn more. And before we dive into that, though, I do want to know, kind of share a little bit about your story, about your background, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. So my journey started, we could go back really far, but I want to go back to baby years. But I started with working with Tony Hsieh back in 2008, 2009 timeframe. And we were business colleagues and really became friends with him. He's CEO of Zappos, and he was writing his book called Delivering Happiness at the time. And read the book, got one of the preview copies, loved it. Obviously love the work that he's done in building and growing Zappos and in that community and really focusing on core values and corporate culture. And so the book is all about his journey as an entrepreneur to use happiness as a business model. And so when he decided to turn it into a company, I said, hey, love what you're doing. Happy to volunteer, whatever you need. And next thing you know, I'm running internal culture and internal operations for Delivering Happiness. And during that time, the work that I was doing before, I was actually in real estate, doing commercial and luxury real estate. And it was fantastic. I was doing well. I had, a great network of people that I was able to work with. But it wasn't fulfilling. There was always something missing. There was always that piece of like, I'm meant to do something bigger in the world. I'm meant to do something bigger than myself. I just don't know what that is. And so when this opportunity came along, I was like, oh, I'm in, I'll volunteer. Like this is awesome stuff. And then when he hired me to actually run internal culture and internal operations, it was like this dream job. And we were a virtual team, really kind of spreading happiness around the world, not only in corporations, but we developed a clothing line. We were doing community projects. It was pretty fantastic. And during that time, my son was young and he had an unfortunate experience between one kindergarten and another that had everything to do with school culture and nothing to do with the academic side of things. And so I had this mommy fire passion for education. So educators started getting a hold of the Delivering Happiness book and reaching out and saying, hey, we want to be happy like Zappos too. Or professors saying, hey, can you help me co-write curriculum for the book? And so I started volunteering my time with them and walked out of one school one day here in Las Vegas and said, I never want to do anything else. I love working with educators. They are the most amazing group of humans on the planet. And they're so underserved when it comes to the typical professional development that you see in the corporate world. And so I left Delivering Happiness with their full blessing and shoving out of the nest for me to start my program called Got Core Values and helping schools to become great places to work. And then that evolution has turned into me creating Educator Dynamics and delivering several different programs to educators to help really ignite their inner genius. And through that, and my coaching with Entrepreneurs Institute globally, partnered up with a couple of executives from around the planet. And we started Genius School Global to inspire and ignite the inner genius in young people across the world and really revolutionize education. So I was able to start my nonprofit here, Genius School US, to bring those programs to our students locally. So I've been doing that for the past, 3 years now. And, I've been doing Educator Dynamics work for the past 10. And it truly has just been amazing how it's all come together. I thought of that one thing, that I could do if it wasn't about the money, if it wasn't about anything, but truly just living and doing something that would fulfill my soul. And it was to really help people kind of start their entrepreneurial journey and to have adventure camps for kids. And I get to do both right now. So super exciting.
What a beautiful journey. I think, and yet again, to see it like where we are, where you've taken it and all the many lives that you've impacted and Yeah, I mean, I've been there. I've been there as far as seeing you in action, and I think it's such an honor to see you in action, and see you in work, and really have that mindset of service. Um, and so, with the show specifically, we talk a lot about our focus is community connection and innovation. And so I'm going to dive into a few different questions and kind of dive into deeper as far as maybe share some nuggets and really how we can help you in your mission of empowering our educators and empowering young geniuses as well. So as I was going into, share your involvement in the community with your current role. Like, what does the community play in the role that you're currently doing?
So much. I mean, the partnerships that I have with companies like Live to Give, and with Melissa Blinn and Epic Love, with the Public Education Foundation, with UNLV College of Ed, with Nevada State College, so many different amazing community organizations that I've been able to partner with to really make a difference, knowing that education is the heart of any community. And so it really is so fulfilling to create these dynamic partnerships and make sure that we're all on the same page and supporting each other, that it's not about competition, it's about collaboration.
Yeah, so well said. I think, that's why we vibe. That's why we vibe so well.
From day one.
Because that's so true, right? The more we know that, anything great is not done alone, and anything great needs to be empowered with others. And so if we can lock arms in that same mindset, I think, you definitely, you hit the nail on the head. And then even, when it comes to community, like, what would you say as far as, what does connection mean to you in your work and the work that you do with kids and the work that you do with educators? What does that mean to you?
Connection is huge. It's one of my top core values, and it's to me, it means really seeing each other as a human first. And if we can actually connect with the unique, amazing humans that we all are, and we look at each other that way, then those connections and that collaboration becomes all the easier, because we're actually seeing each other as a whole person, not just for the role that we can fulfill in each other's lives, but we actually begin to treat each other from a true human behavior perspective. Like, I just want you to know that I care about you as a person, then let's get to work. But if I don't actually connect with you, human to human, heart to heart, soul to soul, whatever you want to call it, then we're missing the boat of why we're all here and why we're doing this. No one wants to be treated like a robot, or that they're being used for the role that they're in, or the title that they have, or the money they have, or the time that they have to give, or anything like that. We all want to be seen and valued. And I think that that's so critical, especially today, as we start moving more towards a digital world. I mean, even more, the stats out there saying we're going to transform in the next 3 years. And I think it was the trajectory for the next 3 years is going to be as fast as the trajectory over the last 30.
Wow.
In terms of technology and in terms of consciousness and all of those things. And so when we think about that, human connection is so vital. And if we're not focused on human first and realizing that we're all in the people business first, we're going to be missing the boat on a lot of amazing things that can happen with us together.
If someone was watching and saying, I don't know what my why is, or I don't know what my values are, where's a good place to start with just finding out their values?
Yeah, so in terms of their why and their values, like they're kind of two different things, but they're intertwined. When I think about your why, it's why do you get out of bed every day? What is that purpose? And I was actually talking to a group of educators this morning, and they brought up a great quote, which is, your passion is for you, your purpose is for others. And I love that because it truly is, what are you passionate about, and how can you translate that into your greater purpose? And so when you think about your why,
so
and I remember
that is so good.
Even when I was trying to figure out my why and what my passion was, I was like, I'm passionate about lots of things. What do you mean, what's my passion? And this was probably 15, 20 years ago, going, I don't know. I have no idea. I had no idea. I couldn't have designed where I'm at today back then if I tried, because I was so all over the map with, I use a talent dynamics assessment, the assessment well. And so I'm a creator profile. So I am a big picture thinker. I see things so clearly. I'm a visual learner. I can have 100 different ideas. and they come easily to me. They give me energy, and I feel, alive when I'm able to talk about all these different things. So when someone asks, what's your passion, especially as a creator, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many. How do I pick one? How do I turn one of them into a purpose? I just want to do all of them. They're cool. And so it's really kind of peeling back the layers and looking at your life experiences. And I have a whole module, workshop, course, whatever you want to call it, that I take people through to actually establish their personal purpose statement. That is, I wake up every day so that. And mine, as I articulate it, have been articulating it for the past few years, and I like to revisit it every year, make sure it's still connected with who I am today. But mine right now is I wake up every day to live my life on purpose so that I can inspire others to do the same. And it truly is about doing things with intention and living on purpose. And that's aligned with my core values of creating meaningful change more than I ever dreamed possible in the world. That's one of my values. My other value is gratitude. And, that goes with being grateful for what I have and knowing that, without gratitude, I'm missing the mark on really celebrating what is today. And so they're intertwined, and you come at them in different ways to articulate them. But the core of it is self-reflection. The core of it is actually getting curious with yourself. And instead of thinking I should this or I should that, it's better to tap into just going, I wonder why, what did I learn from my life experiences? What life do I want to create? Leading with curiosity questions in your own mind, and, self-reflecting on what are my values? What are those things that when they're at play, I'm super happy, or when they're violated, I'm pissed,
Right.
And that's usually what is a true core value versus just a value you agree with, are the ones that when they're violated, you are angry every time. And when they're at play, you feel that joy, you feel that happiness. So there's lots of different ways out there to articulate your personal purpose, your why, as well as your core values. So those are a few of the courses I teach. But that's kind of the nuts and bolts of how you go about it, is really leading with curiosity and self-reflection.
I love it. Thank you for that. How would you describe a win-win partnership? What does a win-win partnership look like to you?
So many examples. So first example I want to share is our partnership. And our partnership is first built on trust. Trust that we are aligned in our values, right? We both value community. We both value connection. We both value gratitude. We both value giving back. And without those, we wouldn't have the win-win partnership that we do, because we have that cornerstone of trust, and we actually can communicate with one another and say, hey, and both of us have done it, right? We preempt things and go, I'm feeling it's a little lopsided, like I might be taking a little bit of advantage of your time lately. Can we have a conversation about how we get this back into balance? And we've both done that in certain situations where we actually, when we start feeling that on our own side, we don't wait for the other person to come to us and go, hey, I'm feeling taken advantage of. We both have gone, hey, I'm feeling like I'm taking a little advantage of you. And that's how we build trust. So that's really what I see as win-win, is when you can actually lean in and again, celebrate each other as humans first, and then actually be aligned with your values, be aligned with your vision for what that partnership looks like, and be honest about what those boundaries are around how it works effectively for both people, and then check in often.
Let me ask you this. I mean, even from just past experiences, right? Because the way you described it is so beautiful. It's so well said, because you're right. If you start with the same type of value, the same type of core, the same type of core values, you can at least that's a guiding compass for us to know who we are, how we work, and how we can communicate effectively with each other. So what if I've had experiences in the past where, right before I really even learn this, I have to give credit to you. Like before I even learn like what my values are, and even like for not only myself, but for my business and certain aspects of my life, like I have to think, or there was times where, you don't know what you stand for, your values, all those things. And you get into bad, let's say, or win-lose relationships, right? Or even lose-lose relationships sometimes. So let me ask you this: if there's someone that maybe is in that moment right now where they feel like, hey, you know what? I'm in a win-lose relationship right now, or I'm in a lose-lose relationship. What are some suggestions or maybe tips that you can say, like, hey, yeah, what are some tips to maybe get them to a win-win relationship? Because I feel like, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so a couple things is the first thing is a team alliance scenario that I like to have people articulate between the two of you, and then we'll get into the values alignment piece. But before you get into the values alignment, it's simply about having a conversation and saying, hey, I want to make sure that we have a really cool alliance between each other and how we're establishing this partnership. And you can do this even if you've had a partnership in the past, is you set up a meeting and go, hey, what do we each want to get out of this meeting? What's our intention for this meeting? And so if you're the one going into it saying, hey, I really want to make sure that we have a cool alliance, is you start with, my intention is that we really set the social emotional well-being container of our relationship. And that's really the purpose of this meeting for me. And the other person can say, you know what, I'm really feeling like we're not vibing right now. So I'd love to figure out how we could either get into alignment or part ways as friends. You never know what they'll say, but it'll be along those lines because both people are feeling the same thing, whether you're actually talking about it or not.
Yeah.
And then to be able to go into, okay, so in order for us to do that, what do we need from each other right now during this meeting? And you'll get things like, we need to be transparent with each other. We need to be fully honest. We need to be open to what the other person has to say. We need to be good listeners. And you agree on those different social, emotional container rules that go deeper than, hey, turn off your cell phone while I'm talking to you. Hey, use the bathroom if you need to. You know,
Right.
get beyond the surface level meeting container rules and go to, how do we want to show up together to flourish and meet our intentions? And then you go into, okay, so if it gets edgy, excuse me, if it gets to that place where either one of us are feeling some sort of visceral reaction that it's not feeling good, who do we want to show up as then? You set the ground rules in advance. And, you know, you share, it's, you know, I want to be able to speak up for what I need, or I want to be able, and so you have that agreement. And then you say, okay, is there anything else we need from each other? And then you go into, are we going to celebrate when these things are happening between us? And are we going to ask for them if they're not? And when you have that conversation with intention, and it feels a little weird at first, it feels a little edgy, it feels a little like you're in a therapist's office, but it really sets the tone for that conscious conversation. Because without a conscious conversation, you're not going to get to an aligned win-win relationship. If we're not actually going into these partnerships with consciousness, with actually being intentional about how we want the relationship to be, and we're just assuming everyone knows, we're missing the mark. And once you get to that place and you actually can have that healthy conversation, then you can begin to have other conversations about how your values are aligned. And when you have a values-based conversation, it really helps to get to where you are connected when there might be some surface things or contextual things where you're not agreeing. And you can go, okay, well, where we do agree is on this. We all agree, you know, I'll use the education example. We all agree that we want our kids to be happy and healthy so that they can learn well. Everyone agrees with that in education. Okay, great. How we're actually doing that, we might disagree. But at bottom line, we can generously assume that we all want the same thing. We all want what's best for kids. So how do we actually now dive into the conversation with that generosity of assumption and building trust with one another to really be able to hear each other well?
I was so looking forward to this conversation today because I'm getting so many nuggets from it, and I know people are watching are getting so many nuggets from it. So thank you just for sharing that and giving. Yeah, thank you. And let me ask you this: you've been working in your passion and your purpose for 10 years or so, and in those 10 years, have you ever faced rejection, or if so, what are some tips and tricks that you can maybe share that helped you overcome?
Yeah, I have a lot. A lot. An examples that just popped in my head. I'm going to share the most vulnerable one that just came to mind.
Okay.
So I had just gotten divorced for the second time to the same person, my son's dad, and had just moved into my own place about 4 months prior. And I had been what year was this? This was 2015, I believe. So it was about 5 years ago, and hit this point where I had less than a handful of schools that I was working with, and which wasn't quite enough revenue to really pay the bills. I was scraping by, my savings was depleted. I had burned through the financial help that I had gotten from my dad. Thankfully, he was able to help me move out and get established in my own place. And I hit this point where I had a team that I was trying to build to really help me grow this, because I know that I don't know everything and I'm not meant to do it all on my own. But all I could feel was the weight of taking care of them financially when I couldn't even take care of myself as well. And it just felt like too much. I also had my son with me. I had all of these different pieces and parts that were just really weighing on me because I wasn't taking care of my own needs first. And I hit this moment where I remember so vividly. It was like the weight of the world was, a billion pounds on me, and I was in fetal position crying. And I remember even telling my son, like you got to go see your dad right now, because I can't take care of you. You need to call dad. Like I need you to go and stay with him. And he's like, Mom, I want to make sure you're okay. And again, that's added trauma, feeling like I'm hurting my son in the process. But through that, what I learned about myself is that everything that I've gone through, whether it was growing up on welfare and food stamps, and growing up in an environment where I had my mom's second husband was very abusive, and during my early childhood years, and all of those things really, at this point, they built my resilience. They built my strength. They built my drive. They built my determination. And in that moment, when I just allowed myself to feel all of it, I didn't judge myself for it. I simply just felt all of it. And I cried. And I just cried. And I let it go. And I did it from a place of non-judgment about me. I felt bad about it. I didn't want to be doing it. But at the same time, every time I went to those thoughts, I went to, no, I'm just going to feel what I feel. I'm just going to honor that this sucks right now. And I'm going to feel what I feel. Like the bridge behind me, I had no idea what was behind the fog. Like there was so much fog around me. And at the same time, I came out the other side going, you know what? Every time I've struggled in life, no matter what the context was of the struggle, I've always found a way. Somehow on the other side of every challenge in life, there's always been a silver lining. There's always been a lesson. There's always been growth. There's always 100% of joy on the other side of the cliff that I was feeling like I was dangling off of. And I just trusted in that. And I prayed. At that point in time, I was very connected to prayer. Now meditation is working more so for me. So I have a combination meditation prayer. But I was praying and I said, God, if I'm meant to continue doing this work that I'm so passionate about, you got to help me pay rent. You gotta show me the way, show me that I'm meant to do this work. And I kid you not, Angel, in 24 hours, actually, I think it was 48 hours. I think it was within 2 days of me kind of coming out the other side and going, all right, it's going to work out. I'm just going to trust. I'm going to trust the process of this crazy life, whatever that is. And within 48 hours, I got a phone call from a school that I had never heard of, that was referred from another school that I was working with, that said, hey, I hear you're doing good work at ABC school. Can we have a conversation? Can you come in and meet with me to help with my school? And I was like, absolutely, like, yes, I'm there. And just got to get back into sharing my passion and my purpose. And then from there was one more school. And that's all I needed to cover my basic needs was 2 more schools. And I got there and I was able to finish out that year with my basic needs met and get my feet up under me to where I could stand up and go, okay, I heard you, God, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart and soul that I am meant to do this work. And so through that and through the continuation of just trusting not only myself, but trusting the process of this crazy life and trusting in the hero's journey that we're all on. It gives me gratitude, not only for myself, but also gives me a strong connection of empathy for what anyone else in the world is going through. And had I not gone through those experiences myself, I don't think I would have that. I think I would be judgy and
Yeah.
you know, be thinking, oh, it should be easy, when in reality, sometimes life's not easy. But it's easier when you have people around you that support you and go, I'm good with you through the messy too.
Yeah, that got me emotional.
Hmm.
Thank you for being so vulnerable and just sharing like that and sharing. Yeah, thank you. And I think that's such a good example as far as, you know, there's always a light at the end of the fog, right? There's always it, just keep going, keep moving forward, and keep yeah, what a beautiful story. Thank you, Sandi. Thank you for sharing that. I think
Yeah. And again, it's taken me a long time to be able to share my most vulnerable stories. But I truly believe that there's power in that, because if we're not sharing our stories, then we all feel crazy and alone. And like
sure.
Right? And we're not. No one is. We're all crazy together, so we might as well share our crazy, because then we don't feel alone.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
It took me a long time to learn that lesson, though. I used to be like, so like, no, I'm not sharing.
Yeah.
Everything has to be perfect. And so.
And that's so true, right? I feel like the more people, because like you just said, I mean, I think that's what makes us a community, a connection. That's what makes us one, as far as knowing that we all have different stages and different feels and different, you know, what, yeah. So I'm still getting chills off the story. Thank you for sharing that. I think there's so many lessons and so many just positive vibes, and to see where you are today and to see where you've come from. And to see that, you know, Hunter's an amazing young man. Most importantly, right? He's an amazing man that's living his life. Your son,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. You know, another topic. You know, we're currently living in uncertain times. You know, in regards to COVID, and you know, the date that we're filming this is 4/29. So, you know, it's still during the lockdown, quarantine. But I want to hear more of your, as far as for Genius School US and also Educator Dynamics, an innovative approach or pivot you had to do in regards to your either fundraising, programming, or leadership. You know, what did you have to do for your organization and your company during these times?
Yeah, it's definitely been like, wow, 180. So before the official quarantine from the governor, it was about a week before that the school district sent out a notice to all the principals that out of district consultants were no longer allowed on campus, and rightfully so. I get it. It was to you know, keep the kiddos and the staff safe from any potential outside viruses, but in that moment, that was all of my income gone in one email. And so to go from, okay, thankfully I have a school in Florida that I've been coaching for a couple of years via Zoom. So I know that I can still have the impact via video conference. So thank God that I've been doing that for a couple of years. And it's been my dream to actually be able to coach educators from around the world via Zoom and not have to have the expensive travel, so that I can keep their costs low. So I've been dreaming of doing this for a while. And thankfully I had that one school that's been amazing for a couple of years. And so it was like, okay. And so I immediately emailed the principals and said, totally good. When you're ready, we can switch to Zoom and video conference. Happy to help any way I can. And obviously it was very quickly thereafter that schools were completely shut down and they're all in fire drill mode. And so all I did was go, okay, what is within my control? And what's within my control is I can give. And if I stay connected to my core value of creating meaningful change that has nothing to do with money, it has everything to do with giving, then that's all I'm going to do. And so I started these Magnificent Monday. I'm like, I don't know why I renamed my Monday. Magnificent Monday calls. And I said, I'm just going to stream these live on Facebook. Anyone that wants to join me on Zoom can join. And I'm going to do it for free. I'm going to do an hour every Monday and have everyone look at the silver lining and give them some tools and strategies along the way. And so I started the Magnificent Monday calls. And then I also set up an every Wednesday conscious principle call with the leaders of all the schools that I've been working with. And I told them, I said, I'm not charging you for this at all. Just every Wednesday, I want to give you a format to come together and learn from other principals and how they're navigating through this time, because you've all been working with me and we all have similar values. So let me bring you all together and let's talk through this and strategize, and I'll give you tools and strategies that are working, as what I'm hearing from the outside world as well. And through that, I've had over half of my schools come back, and I'm now coaching them via Zoom. And it all started from really just being from a place of giving. And I'm so grateful for that. And I was ready to hunker down and just live off of savings for a little while until we made it through this. And thankfully, I've had the fortune where the schools had the budget allocated, so I'm able to still work and deliver and connect with them and be able to deliver value during this time. And I'm also revamping my entire website on the back end, and really making a robust Educator Dynamics website so that there's a lot of free tools and resources that are going to be there for educators to tap into and pull from. And creating the Magnificent Monday calls, and I want to keep those going. And I'm also developing a program to teach educators how to become entrepreneurs. I like to call them edupreneurs, so that they can use an entrepreneurial mindset either in the classroom or with a business that they're passionate about starting. I want to teach them how to do that so that they can make the impact and the income that they always dream of. And they can do that from their home. It'll be a video course, and then we'll meet once a week via Zoom. And so it's allowed me to do all the things that I've been dreaming of leveraging technology to do, and taking this time. So I'm super grateful that I was able to make that pivot, but it all started from a place of, okay, what are my values in this moment, and how can I just serve? Because that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I feel like we came from going into very, very similar stories leading into it, and I think for us as well. And I think, and you're right. I mean, it's when you come from a place of service, just like you shared, I feel like the abundance already comes back tenfold. When again, with no expectation, right? Like with no expectation, but it really it's the way it works. And so, yeah.
I mean, I've been on so many podcasts and interviews lately since this quarantine, and I have no filter, I guess, on what I share. I'm like, I'm going to share, everything that I teach and that I charge for. I'm just going to share it. And, any nuggets that serve anyone watching or listening, take them, use them, share them. That's what this life's about. We all learn from each other in different ways. And I believe that, like you said, it all comes back to us when we just live from that place of service. And it's not about competition, and it's not about mine. It's about trusting in the process and true abundance of creativity and innovation and collaboration that is in this world together.
100%. By the way, if someone did want to learn more or get in contact with you, I know they can go visit you on Instagram at School Sandi, correct?
Awesome. Absolutely. I spell Sandi with an I.
That's right. Sandi. And you could definitely learn more about her, about what she's doing with educators, what she's doing with children as well. Can you share a little bit about Genius School US, and even the pivot you made there? Actually, yeah, let's dive into that.
So fun. Fun. So Genius School US is in partnership with Genius School Global, that we run Genius camps and different Genius programs for kiddos around the world. And it's really to ignite the inner genius in all children. And so it's not about your IQ. It's truly about everyone has a unique genius, and how do we bring that out? How do we actually help you live from that place of genius and that zone of genius so that you can create the success in life, whatever that looks like for you. So our 2-day in-person camp program that we've been running for the last 3 years is all about show up, step up, and give back. So it's about, who do these kiddos naturally show up as? How's their brain naturally wired? How do they show up in teams? How do they show up to fuel their inner genius with healthy habits and mindfulness and nutrition and exercise and all of those things? And then we teach them to give back, which is really about connected to the global sustainability goals. And we teach them about philanthropy is not just about money. It can be also about giving of your time and giving of your brain power to be able to contribute to the world. And that even when you're, as young as 10, and so our camps go through 10 to 18, and when you're 10 years old, your voice matters and your contribution matters, and you can really make a difference in this world. And we teach them to think globally and act locally. And it's really powerful, some of the things that they come up with. It's just an amazing experience. And I'm so grateful to have you as a Genius coach within that process. So we were able to pivot during this time, and we said, you know what, let's see if we can do this virtually. Let's see if we can bring a group of kids together virtually. We did our first pilot of a Genius camp a few weeks ago, and we had amazing feedback from the kiddos. While they missed kind of being in person with each other, they still got so much value out of it, and it was amazing. And so now we're going to be running our first official Genius camp virtually next weekend. We kind of split a one-day workshop, a one-day camp into 3 half days for the kids, so that they're not on Zoom all day, wanting to give them some breaks and make sure that they're fueling their genius with exercise and movement as well. So yeah, it's going to be amazing, and I'm so grateful to be able to do that work. But at the core of everything I do, it's about igniting the inner genius in all humans, no matter what your age is.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, so many things I can share on that, but I will say 2 stories. One is that, I wasn't sure, and I've shared this with you. I shared this with you in person. I wasn't sure if it was gonna be the same feeling, because I've been honored to be a part of the camps, the Genius camps, in person, right? But I wasn't sure how it was gonna go via Zoom, as far as we were able to have the connection, the real, just for lack of a better word, like the grit that comes with it, right? Just the fun, the all that good stuff that comes from it. And so, but sure enough, it delivers, and it delivers virtually, and it delivers like beyond. From my personal experience as a coach, it delivered beyond my wildest imagination. So it delivered very well. And also, I've been a part of the Genius camp group now with you for about 1.5 years, and it's one of those things where I can't speak highly. I can't say enough good things about it, because it's one of those things, especially for the people that have done it for the first time, whether they're Genius coaches that have just come in from a drop-in or whatever. They always come back and say the same thing, which is, I wish they had something like this when I was a kid, or I wish they had something like this when I was their age. And for me specifically, I know that, when I took that assessment for myself, even when I help the kids and see that aha moment, it's really, even for myself, the assessment, when I first took it, when I got the aha moment, I got emotional, because it realized for me, it shared so many things as far as what it just answers so many questions. It answers so many questions, and you being there guiding me, and the way we are as coaches, guiding the kids through it, right? Guiding the kids, the young adults, the young leaders, the Genius campers or kids through it. It's one of those things that's life-changing, especially when you lean into it and really dive into it. I think for me, it's changed my life. It's changed Lethecia's life. And it's really helped us create a business and organization, as far as it's really that works well together. And so, yeah, I credit you a lot, and just to the team, right? Melissa and everyone that's a part of that. Shannon, Lily, Orlando, everyone that's a part of it. Kendall, right? Everyone that's a part of it. It's just really been this beautiful tribe that I've been honored to be a part of. And so thank you. Thank you for that. And so I do want to leave off with a couple fun things.
Yeah.
What is, so I've actually been reading, during this time, I've been reading this book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in that book, it's by Stephen Covey. In that book, it speaks on different habits that really help you be an effective and a great person, effective in your habits and the way you perform. And one of the habits that they share, I think it's number 7, it's sharpening the saw. And basically, I want to know, what have you been sharpening your saw or improving yourself in over the last 30, 60, or 90 days? And then for him, he speaks specifically about physical, spiritual, cognitive, and social. And is there anything that you've been improving on yourself over the last 30, 60, 90 days?
I am constantly in a space of how can I grow? How can I do a little bit better each day? And so I'm constantly working to improve my meditation practice. And so really committed to that wholeheartedly. From the moment I wake up, I start with a meditation, and then before I go to sleep, I finish my day with meditation. So that's really been on point for the last 90 days. And actually the last probably 5-6 months, I've been really in a good rhythm with that.
Great.
It's so, and part of that is those of you that know Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, really learning a lot more about quantum physics. And so understanding the neuroscience behind quantum physics and how it all works. And so there's those pieces. And then I'm always looking at other thought leaders and the work that they're putting out there into the world. And I'm catching other people's webinars and other people's live videos, and bringing in other tips and tools that can serve me as well as my educators that I work with and my partners. So I think that those things are really vital. The one area where I'm consistently trying to refine, especially in the last couple of months since we're in quarantine, is my physical health. And I was in a really good rhythm for a long time with going to yoga 3, 4, 5 times a week. And so not having the studio to go to, I'm struggling with finding a new rhythm. And so I've got Melissa's really supporting me with her Epic Love programs, and really just starting small and being able to shift my habits and behaviors around physical exercise. I've been wanting to get back into running for a while now. And so I figure I'm just going to keep talking about it. I'm going to keep holding myself accountable. By the more people I tell, the more people that are going to go, hey, how's running going?
Right.
To hold me accountable. So that's one of the ways where, while I'm not happy with how I've been showing up in terms of my physical exercise, I am consistently talking about it. I'm sharing that I'm not okay with where it's at. So I'm proud of myself for still talking about it and not actually hiding and going, you know, I want to suffer in silence. No, I'm actually going to suffer with everyone else out there who's going, it's a challenge now that we're in quarantine and we have to shift our rhythms and routines. And how do we do that intentionally? So I love that book. And I think it's super important that we're always looking to how we're sharpening our saw for us as individuals. I think that's how we grow as leaders.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like, that I've been, it's one of those things where I've shared this before, where, I heard about the book a few years ago, and I did one of those kind of like skimming the notes of the book. But actually diving into it, it's changed my life. So I do want to say thank you so much, Sandi, for just taking the time and sharing stories and really coming from a place of service today during today's episode. Honestly, if someone wants to connect with you, where can they connect?
Yeah, just find me at School Sandi, anywhere on social media. Join me on Facebook under Sandi Herrera, and you can also connect with me on Educator Dynamics on Facebook as well. But at School Sandi is probably the easiest.
For sure. We'll definitely do that. We'll put that in the show notes below as well to make sure that people can connect with you. I think there's so many nuggets that I received from this, and I know the viewers received from this. And so I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your spirit, sharing your love for educators and your love for community with us. And I look forward to connecting with you again very soon. And until then, have a wonderful day, and we will definitely talk soon.
Thank you so much. Virtual hugs.
Yes.